Everyone, good morning. Good morning. I kind of rushed on this morning. I have a lot to do today. But I wanted to start this off because, I was channeling things. I didn't pick up my cards. I hadn't done any meditations. I was kind of just going through the motions of my day and intuited that this is a message that needed to come out to help people who are trying to figure things out right now. The reasons that they may be trying to figure something out right now have to do with understanding why things had come to light about certain people, certain celebrity figures, certain agendas. There is something very important happening, and it is almost completely spiritual. Just try to hang on to this one, because this is going to be kind of a nutty discussion that we're going to have here. Make sure you tap that screen. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Make sure you tap the screen to show your support like this. Thank you so much. So the reason why these agendas with, Epstein and some of the corrupt, I guess you could say, non-discoverable artifacts of UFOs and stuff like that had happened over the course of the last 10 years is because these were all agendas to keep private certain things that were basically impacting people with the same air of exclusion that witchcraft would. Okay? When I say air of exclusion, it is this. If you are a party on the outside of an agenda, that agenda is likely working to make sure that its information does not reach you so that you remain mystified. Okay? So, evil hates to be exposed because evil has the most at stake in remaining covered, private, and out of the way of discovery. So if you are in a position where you are witnessing something evil, you're actually going to not know what's going on. You will likely, you will have no point of reference other than how bad something makes you feel internally, intuitively. You will have no tangible proof that it's actually happening aside from your intuition screaming at you. And then beyond this, you will also only know that there are too many accounts of the same confusion that match yours, that have nothing else to go by other than what they saw, what they felt, and what they knew they could not describe. Okay? This even goes for people who have the physical proof and just can't remember it because they were traumatized. So we're talking about sex victims. We're talking about trafficking victims. We're talking about kidnapping victims. We're talking about people who have been witness to things that were so abhorrent, so terrible, that they could not even remember what they saw to report it properly. They had flaws in their timing, their memory, their explanations of these things to aptly describe it to someone who could help them. Right? This is evil. This is what evil looks like. And the reason why evil hates to be exposed for what it is because evil has an agenda to corrupt even the most pure souls down to the core of their being, and to do it quietly so that it cannot be interrupted. It cannot be saved. They cannot be saved as this is happening to them. Okay? That's what you need to know about the Epstein files. That's what you need to know about why these people were protected. Because the agendas they work beneath, which are inherently against God, had their power in privacy. They had their power in the occult, which is keeping everything clandestine for the sake of religious purposes. But when your religious purposes include eating people, violating children, expand upon that as you will, sacrificing people, cutting their limbs off, and all sorts of other degrading, murderous behaviors, that is not something you can keep quiet. Unless you are truly evil. Who would be able to stymie their tongues against something like that? Who would be able to? Does anyone in the crowd feel like they could stomach a secret like that? Because I don't, personally. Maybe because I have a soul. You know, I feel like people who have souls struggle with that. They struggle with keeping, you know, secrets that protect evil. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that is what connotates a soul. Struggling to protect evil. You know? Because, like, I look at it this way, right? If you are that bad a person that you are expecting in your life's work to be the reason other good people become corrupt like you, then you are not someone to celebrate. You are not someone to protect. You are someone to be treated the way God treated Leviathan. You are someone to be drawn and quartered, shoved away, used to feed others. Your sins will be used to feed others, and that is exactly what is happening here. There are so many people reporting on what these people did that all of them are making a living for their breakout stories, their breakthroughs, their discoveries, their hard work, on the backs of these evil cultists who really thought that they were not only going to control the power of other people, but how much money can also go to them as they're struggling. These people had an agenda to literally control who got rich based on how morally corrupt they were. And do you mean to tell me that that was going to stay quiet? Come on now. Come on now. This agenda was set in place a long time ago to create obedience for the agenda. Could you imagine that obedience? Obedience unto someone who is not God, but playing God very hard on the ball court, right? On the handball court of life. This one, Jeffrey Epstein, and his consorts, Ghislaine Maxwell, I dispose their names. Yeah, you know what I do? I dispose their names right here. These people, if you can call them people, were husks, entities, walking the earth, feeding predatorily on people. People with souls, you know? In fact, they would go after them and be like, this one's got a good soul. Let's ruin them. Like, did you hear about how Justin Bieber had ties to the Epstein files? Now, how do you think that happened? Hurt people, right? Let's bring this into alignment. Justin Bieber, of all people, having ties to the Epstein files after having been allegedly suffering rape trauma from P. Diddy. Being ushered in and grandfathered in. Keep in mind, Justin Bieber is a Pisces, and Pisces as a sign are generally portals between worlds, between the earth and the spirit, between the 3D and the 5D, personified. Let's get that straight first. So for all we know, he could have been used for a ritual constantly as a result of just him being born. And then on top of that, how much bullying and humiliation did he have to go through as a celebrity after he got famous? How much did he have to suffer? I think quite a bit, right? So not only did he have to suffer, but then he got indoctrinated in a traumatized state to the Epstein lifestyle for fame. Are you seeing the synchronicities here? Someone abused was encouraged in their darkness to go darker. Okay? So this is a common grooming tactic, believe it or not. It's like, oh, the worst damage has already been done. You may as well give up. And that's how cultists get you. Okay. Now, for those of you who are spiritually aligned and spiritually attuned, you know for a fact that it's bullshit, but they make the promise anyway. And then it's about who is desperate and feeling forlorn enough to give in and say, yes, I submit. Okay. So Justin Bieber, who started out as a pure, innocent, childlike representation of the fondness of children. Think of how many fans he had who were 13, 12, 10, 11, 9 years old. Children children, okay? They said, everyone who was aligned with Epstein said, this is the one we need because he's going to bring us the kids without color. He's going to bring us the kid without drama, okay? That's what they meant to say in times of war, the medieval expression of good. It doesn't mean without color as in without color of your skin. It means without color, the color red. This would have seemed to be color, okay? Have a good day means have a day without color. Have a day without bloodshed is what that meant. So they used Justin Bieber as a token of peace and safety among children as their representative, as their in to bring people there. Because who would say no to Justin Bieber? Everyone loves Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber invites you to an island. You want to come to an island with it? Yeah, I want to come to an island with it. You're Justin Bieber. And then they don't make it off the island, perhaps, right? It's not entirely impossible. But this is how evil works. Evil elects people who are seen fondly, who are seen as good people, trustworthy people, as fine elects for the cult. They say this one has trust with people. That's why we need them. We need to corrupt them because they can get other people corrupted for us on a mass scale quickly and quietly. That's why we need them. So they look for smiling, trustworthy faces. They look for people who are able to get through to the heart of people. They want people who are able to get into the souls, the desires of people. 3. Okay. And then once they get in there, they want to hollow that out. And you know, for all of you who are panicking right now, because I would probably have the same mind about this, for everyone who's panicking, you are probably going to be able to trust me because I'm discussing with you what to look out for so that you can walk off on your own and look for it yourselves. That is the token of someone that you can actually trust, right? Someone who is willing to give you the tools you need to survive, whether or not you have them by your side. Evil will not do that for you. Evil will say, why would you walk away with what my tools are? You need to stand by me. No, alliances will form on their own volition when the person realizes you cared about them. Thank you so much for the hearts. Alliances form organically, naturally, okay? They are not forced. They are not reined in by the neck. They are not reined in by chokers. They exist simply because a basic comprehension of the trust that people have for one another is mutual, and it's there. And it's a beautiful thing that it can be there in the first place. But when it comes to people who have specific agendas, who are inherently evil, who do not have a reason to show themselves because of all of the gravity, it's the gravity, the density of their sin. They use other people to show out for them. They hide a lot. There's something in astrology called a hidden hand type of motive. It's sort of like, what the one hand does, the other does not necessarily see. But it's how this is implemented. You can have a hidden hand agenda, but be an angel. You can be a perfectly decent person. You can, show yourself as a normal person by day, and then you could be a superhero by night, right? This is also a hidden hand, right? But a lot of hidden hands agendas that have come out lately have had to do with very, very disparate things. Things that have to do with the corruption of mankind and the ins and outs of how this was done, to the extent of who it impacted, the people that it killed. People died. People were no longer here as a result of these things, okay? People were sacrificed. Literally, their blood was shed the way that Jesus's blood was shed, so that people could make promises to a fake lordship and say, give me youth, make me powerful, make me important. You would think that a person would be working to become important rather than sacrificing someone else who did. In a world that makes sense to me, that's how I see things would be, right? That's how I would feel they should be. But no, that is not what they did. They decided to stymie the tongues of the innocent, to force them to be quiet, and then to implicate them. People like this will do something else. Evil agendas will tack themselves onto people and say, haha, you didn't realize I was evil, now I got you. Now I get to implicate you. Now if you tell on me, I'm going to tell them everything. I'm going to tell them that you were here for every bad thing I did, blah, blah. Blackmail. Okay, blackmail, extortion. The use of someone to assure that someone else cannot make it safely away from the trial, the tribulation, or the danger of the situation. Thank you for my rose. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for my gifts. This is what's happening. This is what they're doing. This is why so many people were pushed into fear. As a judge of good character, you must understand where it really comes from for someone to be so fearful that they are ambivalent. They aren't sure what to say. They aren't sure what to do. Because sometimes it isn't their fault not to be brave. It is the fact that they're being exploited. They're being put into a place of poor conditioning, fear, and I guess, the fear of loss. Okay, we're all afraid in a sense of loss. But it is this type of fear that holds people back from doing what is good. And this is not good. This isn't good. Because no matter which creed you follow, you must always be in touch with the good of not only your service, not only your creed, but of your heart, your soul. Okay? Just because your Bible, just because your creed doesn't say to do it, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's to say that you can expand upon even better things to do, right? But it comes with self-searching. And anything that interrupts that is actually against your development as a person. So with respect to these celebrities, these people who are navigating their lives, they're navigating their purposes and figuring out, oh my God, I got so famous for all of these reasons just to lose it to someone like Jeffrey Epstein. Well, do you know something? Implications are a thing. When someone really wants to get rid of you, they will implicate you. They will latch their sins onto you and say, you will suffer for my sins for having known me. And they will bring up your past to assure that you remain in fear. Okay, KB is a rapper. At some point today, maybe after breakfast, right? Maybe sometime later in the afternoon, you can listen to a KB song called Not Today, Satan. A lot of people probably know it already. But Not Today, Satan talks about how the devil will bring up your past to tempt you back into sin. But all you have to do is bring up his future if he keeps talking to people like that. It's like, don't you know you're not going to get any of us? Don't you understand that your future is brighter than anything could hold over you from the past? Because especially if you're growing out of that, if you're growing into an evolved person, yourself, you should not be afraid of what someone's going to say about your past. Because the reason you made it as far as you did is because your past had a hand in that. Now, did you atone for your past? If you did, why would you be worried? Don't you know that God is the one who has the last say of judgment over your life? You should be talking to God. You shouldn't be bargaining with Satan. Okay? But Satan will have his ways of trying to figure out how to bargain you with something that you don't need. You don't need to sell your soul. You also don't need to give God, a reason to frown at you. You know what I mean? It's like, if you talk to Satan and you're like, listen, I'm good. And he's like, no, you're not good without me. That's a lie. Because all you have to do is turn to God and be like, God, you hear this? And he's like, say no more, vengeance is mine. And like, he's just, he has ways of making Satan suffer for wanting to make you suffer, is what it is. So it's a matter of balancing basically what's going on in your life so that you don't compromise it to something that doesn't belong in your life. Evil agendas will always try to position themselves in your area, in your life, in your presence, in your daily tasks. For evil to make you feel like you're not good enough is actually a travesty. It's a joke. It's a joke. For you to wake up one day and say, you know, I should have taken that deal. I feel like my whole life is compromised, blah, blah, blah. Because you're worthy of respect. You're not worthy of compromise. You're worthy of respect. You're God's child. Inherently, you're God's child. So you gotta hold on to your heart in some situations and realize, you know what, some people's hearts are not for me because they're gone. Their hearts are gone. What can you do with a person whose heart is gone when yours is in the right place? Right? What can you do with a person's heart if it's gone and yours is in the right place? Thank you so much for my heart. Thank you for joining. It's just, when you look at the agendas that have been discovered recently, like the Epstein files and the other celebrity drama, the fact that celebrities were pinned as frameable, pinned as guilty for actually positioning themselves as a safety net in that situation as well is a whole other thing. Some innocent people really, they accept a lot of unnecessary drama and disappointment because they have to close their mouths about how good they are at what they do. That's another thing I want to tell you. The difference between an evil agenda and someone who is good at keeping secrets is the outcome that inevitably comes on Judgment Day. This is like what happened with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was positioned on Epstein Island at some point, or within the Epstein circumstance. Let's just leave it there. Within the Epstein circumstances, to protect minors. For all we know, Michael Jackson, growing up as a young entertainer from the Jackson 5 all the way through into his career, knew better than anybody what that was like. But because racism existed, he never got his justice. That is why people are still complaining about racism. Because even the controversial circumstances were not seen as just to protect the innocent. And it was because of the color of his skin. You saw it in plain sight that it was about the color of his skin. Just because people kept attacking him after his skin blanched, it doesn't mean it wasn't about the color of his skin. It was about the fact that that man was cultured. He was famous. He was influential. He was a good person. And he might have been a harbor and a safe space, a haven away from people like Epstein who were assaulting children, torturing them, feeding them drugs. Did you get into the files? He fed them drugs at tender ages of like 3 and 4 years old. What business does a child have imbibing acid, hallucinogenic acid, to then be knocked out, sexually tortured, and expected not to know whatever happened to them? How is that ever a child's business to experience psychologically in their lives? To then process over the course of decades of their lives, not knowing what actually happened to them. How? Why? Why was that a good idea to someone, if not for evil? This is what I mean about evil needing to be seated in a place of privacy. Evil will not survive. Evil will wither in the rays of the sun if it is exposed. That's why it needs to sit in the darkness of unknown things. That's why it needs to sit in the minds of people as a mystery. That's why people don't want you to believe magic exists, because they're using it on you. Okay? That's why. So if you suspect evil, be discerning in what you expose, but expose it. Talk about it. Because you see me here. I use my cards. I use my gifts. I use my discernment. I use my talents that God gave me to talk to you. Not to you, but with you. To converse with you. This is my intention. This is what the cards have to expose about me. that I lead with my heart first, that it's all hearts first until otherwise cultivated. And do you know what happens when you abuse someone who walks heart first as if they are a child of God or literally a child? You suffer consequences. I have been protecting the right people for a very long time. And I have done it alone in some cases. Okay. So I would like to explain to you that if you see something evil, God bless you, thank you for my gifts. If you see that something evil is happening here, if you see that something evil is happening closer to you than maybe a celebrity or maybe someone who is more known, take note of it, expose it, talk about it. You will be looked at like you're off your base, like you're off kilter. Someone is going to give you a reason to doubt yourself. But even ignorance can feel like evil. Do not let ignorance stifle your impact, okay? That is a shame. It is a shame for someone not to be able to express themselves thoroughly and with their heart space, to be denied by their own brethren, really, for telling the truth, for telling their truth, okay? I understand everyone's got a story. It can be exhausting to hear them, but it comes from the heart to keep going, okay? We lead from our heart. It is a hearts first society that we live in these days. And it's because we're realizing everyone who told us it's a mental thing, we are all only cerebral, didn't take into account the fact that when you exclude your heart space in your mental decisions, you end up with people like Jeffrey Epstein. You end up with people who are cultists, who support strictly cerebral decisions to leave themselves free of burden and then lose in the end. That's what this card means. It's an unholy agenda to displace burden. The burden of a cross, the burden of our responsibilities, the burden of our daily lives, the burden of grief onto someone who doesn't deserve it, just to have a Six of Wands in reverse or a loss energy at the end of everything. Now, I would like to expand upon this even more, okay? The Six of Wands energy in the tarot represents a victorious entrance back into a kingdom. It could be karmically, it could be energetically, it could be literally, it could be a coming home party. For those of you who are in the military, you would know what that feels like, right? You come home to people meeting you, greeting you, happy to see you at the airport, whatever, right? What we're talking about with the Six of Wands in reverse, one time, is an unvictorious return home, a walk of shame, an exposure of something, losing one's laurels. Is that energy. That is for one circumstance. Think of a parade going bad, right? But it's a big deal. But that's for one ritual. Now imagine how many countless rituals and countless karmic failures these people have to answer for. How many bad parades, how many literal SHIT shows these people sparked for themselves karmically and spiritually legally. And now actually legally, because of the impact of what they did to other people, the displacement of their karmic burdens onto people who didn't deserve it, so that they could stay young, rich, and successful on the backs, literally, of those who would not have ever in this life been able to hold them alive. Clearly very unhealthy behavior, but they made a choice to do this. With the Seven of Cups in reverse, they knew what they were doing. They vowed to do this. Okay? So this is how we're going to talk about the Epstein files today. Thank you so much for my rose. The Slit by Skyfall. Thank you so much. Yeah. This is what they did. And now it's an uphill trudge for them, I'm seeing. This is the energy of the card. It wanted to come in tilted. It's an uphill struggle for them to even feel peace. Just for them to roll back down the hill like Sisyphus. Emotionally. not once to retrieve a semblance of peace. They're blocked from serenity. This is what the Mountain card represents, a slowness, a forced recognizance of something. They're blocked from serenity. Many of us gratefully do not know what that feels like. But to be blocked from serenity means to be blocked from any semblance of peace, which would speak to the soul to remind it of its connection with God. Do you know how serious that is? That's like losing your soul and not even feeling it, not even feeling that it happened, and then just spending the rest of your days to wander the earth wondering what happened to me. And it's far worse than I'm describing it, but that's where it begins. That's where the journey begins. All because they practiced witchcraft. They practiced occult magic for money, for what they felt was a home based in Satan. That's not a home. I don't know a single home that would feel like that. Again, they tried to pass this off as an act of love for their coven for each other. People pretended an illusion that they loved the people that they did this to. It was just something they had to do. You can't be serious. You cannot be serious with this story. This is what I'm intuiting in the spirit realm about the Epstein files right now. I'm disgusted. They tried to pass it off like living like an actual lizard without a mind, a soul, or anything beyond its pleasure sector was a good idea. There's no confusion about the fact that this was satanic as fuck either. That the suffering of children, the cries of children was feeding Satan. They were all feeding Satan. They were feeding a limb of Satan. This is unreal. Again, this card does not want to come out. There are so many secrets that these people have held in the caverns of their hearts. Literal rape diaries. Rape diaries with the clover in reverse. The fact that some of these people were forced into poverty if they didn't close their mouths, with the Six of Pentacles in reverse going back to the Five of Pentacles, being locked out of societies, being threatened to be blacklisted for not allowing themselves to be raped. And then the hidden diaries and the secrets and the honesty coming out finally about these women, young women. I'm hearing 13-year-old women. Louisa May Alcott would be rolling over in her grave, donning an axe over something like this. Are you kidding me? This is not what she had in mind when she wrote Little Women, okay? Apparently this is a source of great borrowing anxiety in these people right now. But really, what did the people who were manning these projects that included the defilement of children, what were they expecting to feel? Joy? Glee at what they did? I don't believe so. I don't believe that's their portion whatsoever. Pardon my French. There could be another exposure happening within the next 24 hours. And it's a divine exposure. About a house. So it could be a domestic situation. It could be something that's happening here. It could be causing someone great anxiety. And the secret of someone's heart could be coming out. Thank you for my rose. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is something about a rushed circumstance involving someone's true love, true ambitions, true dedication, and something. A secret that's impacting their health could be coming out. I heard the truth is coming out. And this could be in the same vein of someone being sexually exploited. So if you, in the next day or so, are privy to or aware of someone who is being sexually assaulted, be supportive of that person getting away from what it is that is hurting them, and encourage them to pray. Okay. Encourage them to connect with God, because God has a type of life and love force that is uncorruptible. And that is why Satan does everything in Satan's power, tangible or non-tangible, to drag you away from your belief that prayer will help you. Because it's like the one thing that will actually help you. And it will work directly against him to do so. So I'm going to leave that here. Thank you so much. Thank you for my gifts. I love my gifts. And I achieved my goal. Thank you so much. Slip by Skyfall. Thank you. Thank you, Bacono100. Thank you, everyone, for staying present here and for gifting me. If you are interested, before I leave, I'm going to pin this to the comments because I have to go on with my day for a little while, but I'll be back later. I really felt like something drew me to bring God's greatness to you in the form of the sermon that I was told to say. I get these messages sometimes, and I'm actually, like, I get on camera and I'm like, I don't even know if I'm ready to deliver this. And it's kind of just like a go do it kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, I will go as I am. And that's just me. This, if you'd like, I'm going to pin this here. This is a PayPal donation thing. It's never mandatory to tip me, but you must understand any tips that are sent to me actually help me a lot. They help me support myself as a creator. They help me eat, pay bills, do a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm here to accept them if you are able to give. And if you're not, it's okay. Thank you for being here. I'm super grateful for you. I'm also booking personal readings with cards and pendulums. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. And I will see you all a little bit later. There are some more tech shows, so you get to stay tuned for my cool pink laptop. This is my netbook. I get to show you cool stuff on here to teach you how to navigate around the Android software deprecation that's about to happen. So you get to use your Android regardless of whether or not you can get Android Play Store updates. I love you guys. Take care. I'm also booking classes for my tech shows, my tech vein of expertise. So let me know what you're interested in. Send me a DM and I'll catch you guys later. I love you all. Stay safe out there and try to keep your hearts receptive, okay? I know how hard it is. I love you. Bye.